Continuing from the previous episode 587. Chapter 1516. Refining the Sky Ancient Formation. The young cowherd's indifferent voice slowly sounded. Everyone's expressions drastically changed. Numerous pairs of eyes landed on that churning black light pillar in the sky while feeling their mind go numb. This purifying demonic lotus flame had allowed itself to be captured? How can it be possible? Huo Yao and the few experts who had cooperated earlier muttered with stunned faces. If this was the case, this purifying demonic lotus flame was indeed a little too frightening. A heavenly flame that schemed against people. Even people like them were only witnessing such a thing for the first time. Xiao Yan's face was filled with surprise as he exchanged glances with Xuan Er. After which, he slowly nodded. Given the frightening strength of the ancestor of the small pill tower, it would be quite difficult for him to make a mistake. HMPH, what nonsense. Regardless of how strong the purifying demonic lotus flame is, it would definitely have difficulty escaping my Han clan's Tin Luo Sealing Demon formation. The chief of the Hall of Souls revealed a somewhat ugly expression as he spoke in a deep voice. The eyes of old man Mo Hun by the side flickered. He stared at the black light pillar in the sky, but he did not voice any doubt. He had came into contact with the ancestor of the pill tower a couple of times. Naturally, he understood that the ancestor of the pill tower was not someone who uttered nonsense. Since the youth had put it this way, he ought to be confident in his words. The ancestor of the pill tower did not give an explanation despite everyone's doubtful eyes. He merely observed the churning black light pillar. He finally spoke in a faint voice a moment later after seeing that it had not reacted. Since you are unwilling to reveal yourself, I can only force you to do so. The ancestor of the pill Toei flicked his finger after his words sounded. A black line suddenly erupted from the tip of his finger. The black line might appear weak, but space itself quietly formed a vacuum wherever it passed. It rushed toward the black light pillar with lightning-like speed. The speed of the black line was so quick that it left one speechless. In an instant, it was only half a foot from the light pillar, but the sealed demonic flame essence violently trembled before the black line struck it. An earth-shaking fire wave surged in all directions as the black light pillar exploded apart in front of everyone's stunned eyes. Old demon, you have ruined my plans again. Are you trying to seek death? Cream-white flames swept across the sky as a figure formed in this sea of flames. It was that white-robed purifying demonic lotus flame. The heavenly flame was glaring at the ancestor of the pill tower with a dark and cold expression as he furiously cried out. This fellow has really purposefully allowed himself to be sealed. The hearts of Xiao Yan and the others violently pounded upon seeing the figure form. The expression of the chief of the Hall of Souls became uglier. It was clearly extremely easy for the purifying demonic lotus flame to break the seal earlier. From this, one could tell that the words of the ancestor of the pill tower had indeed been true. This purifying demonic lotus flame had allowed itself to be sealed in order to reap the gains from their conflicts. This cunning was really on a different level. Purifying demonic lotus flame, your character is extremely brutal. If you are allowed to enter the central plains, you will definitely leave a destruction in your wake. It was due to this that the purifying demonic lotus saint chose to seal you when he was reaching the end of his life back then. Therefore, you cannot leave this place. The ancestor of the pill tower lifted his somewhat tender face, looked at the purifying demonic lotus flame standing in the air, and slowly explained. That old bastard, I accompanied him for 1,000 years. I at least put in the effort for him, yet he did not care about our ties and actually sealed me. Finally, he ended up suffering from my backlash. That was his retribution. Moreover, whether I can leave is not up to you to decide. Even though you have currently advanced to a 6-star Do Sheng, it is still not enough to stop me. The purifying demonic lotus flame's eyes turned cold as he stated. The ancestor of the pill tower softly sighed. His eyes glanced at old man Han Mo a short distance away. Seeing him look over, old man Han Mo strangely laughed and said, Old demon, you should fight alone if you wish to deal with it. Our Han clan does feel obligated to protect the whatever central plains. It will be easier for our Han clan to capture it should it leave the demonic flame realm and head to the central plains. This old man Han Mo was unusually cunning. Although he spoke without a care, he was clearly planning on idly watching tigers fight. He would wait for the ancestor of the pill tower and the purifying demonic lotus flame to fight. Then, he would benefit from the outcome when the time came. The ancestor of the pill tower was unsurprised when he heard Old Man Hun Mo's words. Hence, he withdrew his eyes. Elder, do you need us to fight? Xiao Yan cupped his hands together and asked. This purifying demonic lotus flame was unusually terrifying. Although the ancestor of the pill tower was unfathomable, it would definitely be an extremely intense battle if they were to fight. It is unnecessary. Currently, none of you will be able to help. The ancestor of the pill tower smiled and shook his head upon hearing this question. His toes pressed against the bowl. His short body penetrated the sea of fire and appeared in front of the purifying demonic lotus flame. He said, the seal that the purifying lotus demon saint had placed is not easily broken. Even though you have borrowed the world tide to tear through to the world, the seal will naturally reform, following the withdrawal of the world tide. As long as I delay you until that time comes, you will not be able to leave this place. In that case, we'll have to see if you have the ability to stop me. The purifying demonic lotus flame coldly laughed. Both of his hands suddenly changed. The cream-white flames that permeated the sky around him swiftly returned to him before they agglomerated into a 100,000-foot-tall fire giant amid many stunned eyes. Demonic flame divine statue. The fire giant's legs were inserted into the sea of magma below. Its incomparably large body caused one's soul to tremble. With a punch from this giant, even an elite Do Sheng would likely be shattered into nothing. Old ghost, die. The purifying demonic lotus flame stood on the head of the divine figure. His eyes looked at the ant-like figures below as he gave a dense smile. That demon flame statue suddenly lifted its mountain-like fist before throwing it toward the pill tower ancestor. This punch had only just been thrown when the surface of the sea of magma 100,000 feet below revealed a huge magma spiral that was tens of thousands of feet in size. Air itself seemed to crazily whistle. The expressions of Xiao Yan's group involuntarily became pale when they sensed this fist wind that was filled with a destructive force. Regardless of whether it was Zi Yan or Ji Yu Nane, anyone who received this strike head-on would instantly turn into dust. The figure of the ancestor of the pill tower remained suspended in the sky. His eyes stared at the giant fist that seemed to fall like a meteorite. He widened his mouth and a bright golden light erupted from it. The light turned into an enormous light curtain that covered the sky. Bang! The giant fist of the statue violently smashed into the golden light curtain. A frightening wind assault immediately swept apart. One could hear a crack form in the space within 100,000 feet before everything exploded into a charred black mess. The area around them Ayas blasted apart as the two fought. Pill merging sky. The finger of the ancestor of the pill tower was lifted. A drop of green blood seeped out of his pores. One seemed to be able to glimpse the strand of golden luster in that dense green color. This green-colored blood swiftly flew toward the demonic flame divine figure the moment it escaped the ancestor's body. It became larger as it flew. Within a short instant, it had turned into a 1,000-foot large green light ray. The light ray was accompanied by a dense fragrance as it shot through the sky. Finally, it smashed into the chest of the divine statue made of demonic flames with lightning-like speed. Green light immediately filled one's vision, but one could see over half of the divine statue made of demonic flames melting away. The ability of this old demon is becoming more terrifying. He is even able to melt the demonic flame. A grave expression flashed across Old Man Hun Mo's eyes in the distance after seeing the flame melt. Roar! The purifying demonic lotus flame became furious after the demonic flame statue was seriously damaged. Everything in the world possessed something that complemented it and something that was its nemesis. The actual form of the ancestor of the pill tower was a medicinal pill. Common sense dictated that he should be extremely afraid of such a flame, but as the strength of the ancestor from the pill tower increased, a mutation had begun to form in his body. This mutation suppressed things related to fire. This suppression had caused the purifying demonic lotus flame to feel a great pressure. Old demon, whoever dares hinder my escape today will be refined alive by me. Your actual form is a pill. I wish to see what you will turn into if I refine you again. The purifying demonic lotus flame roared at the sky. His body suddenly charged to the horizon. Many cream-colored lines of fire shot out in all directions. They shot across the entire demonic flame realm. Refining sky ancient array, appear. The purifying demonic lotus flame loudly cried out after these fire lines shot deep into the realm before a loud rumbling sound was emitted. After which, everyone was shocked to see a 100,000-foot large fire array slowly appear in the empty sky. Rumble. The endless magma sea began to churn soon after the large array appeared in the sky. Soon, even it slowly formed an extremely huge fire formation in front of everyone's stunned eyes. Both the expression of the ancestor of the Pill Tower and the expression of Old Man Hun Mo became ugly when these two fire formation appeared, one above, one below. Ha ha, old demon, you didn't expect this, did you? The large ceiling formation that the purifying demonic Lotus Saint had personally placed is being used by me. I have already comprehended all its mysteries during these few thousand years. Who will be able to fight me within this demonic flame realm now? The ancient array that covered the realm slowly rotated while the purifying demonic flame laughed to the sky. It is going to be troublesome this time around. Everyone observed these formations as they inhaled a breath of cold air. These terrifying formations were many times stronger than the Tinluo ceiling demon formation the chief of the Hall of Souls had used earlier. Xian and the others stared at the huge formations, one in the sky and one above the earth. A great wave seemed to be rising within their hearts. If either of these large arrays were to unleash even a little energy, they would easily kill everyone. While everyone was feeling shocked because of the sudden changes, Xiao Yan suddenly grabbed his forehead. That mysterious light cluster within his head suddenly trembled. That shaking appeared as though something was about to awaken. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 588. Chapter 1517. Purifying Demonic Lotus Saint? The fire array in the sky blotted out the sun. The two fire arrays appeared like two extremely huge fireplates that covered this realm from above and below. Xiao Yan's group appeared like ants within these two enormous plates. They seemed insignificant at a glance. He actually is able to control the great array placed by the purifying demonic Lotus Saint. Old Man Hun Mo's eyes were filled with disbelief when he saw this unexpected change. He suddenly recovered a moment later and hurriedly threw his eyes to the slowly rotating spatial tunnel some distance away. That was the path that led back to the central plains. Quick, retreat. Old Man Hun Mo involuntarily cried out as his eyes flashed. His body took the lead to rush toward the spatial tunnel. This large array had been created by the purifying demonic Lotus Saint. Even though that ultimate expert, whom even the clan head of the Hun clan admitted he was no match for, still wielded a mighty reputation that was deeply imprinted into the ears of those who had heard about what he had done. The chief of the Hall of Souls group hesitated for a moment after seeing Old Man Hun Mo's flee. However, they could only clench their teeth and follow him with great unwillingness. Someone as strong as Old Man Hun Mo had turned into this homeless stray. From the looks of it, this large array was extremely terrifying. Old Man Hun Mo's decision to flee undoubtedly caused many to panic. The other elders from the ancient clan's expressions greatly changed. All of them briefly hesitated before clenching their teeth and following him. Although the temptation of the purifying demonic lotus flame was unimaginable, one needed to be alive to enjoy it. Shu and and the others watched these people flee. They frowned and quickly swung their heads to Xiao Yan, but Xiao Yan was standing there holding his head as some pain vaguely surfaced on his face. Xiao Yan Gege, what has happened? Shu and Er's face changed after seeing Xiao Yan's face. She hurriedly cried out, "We should also leave." Xiao Yan clenched his teeth. His mind churned, causing his soul to repeatedly emit a giddiness. Although he did not understand how these large arrays were built, he was able to sense an annihilation force from the fluctuations present. If that force were to spread, everyone present would immediately turn into dust. Haha, it is too late to try and leave now. I will refine everyone here to be my fire slaves. Xiao Yan's words had only just left his mouth when the purifying demonic lotus flame in the sky 100,000 feet above wildly laughed. His finger gently pressed down on the spatial tunnel and a cream-white magma pillar shot out of the huge array below. The magma struck the tunnel with a lightning-like momentum, shattering it into pieces. Old Man Hun Mo appeared in front of the collapsed spatial tunnel. His expression was gloomy. This purifying demonic lotus flame was not intending on letting any of them off. What should we do? The chief of the Hall of Souls and his group hurried over. He frowned and asked a question. How should I know? This demonic flame realm was built by the purifying demonic Lotus Saint. He is said to be an existence which was closest to a Do-D during that era. No one currently on the continent would be able to forcefully charge into the realm he created without passing through this tunnel. Don't tell me that we should simply wait and die? The deputy chief of the Hall of Souls grit his teeth and demanded an answer. It will not be easy to kill us. Old man Hun Mo coldly laughed. His eyes quickly landed on the ancestor of the Pill Tower as he cried out in a deep voice, "Why don't we cooperate?" Currently, he is in control of the Refining Sky Ancient Formation. Even you will not be a match for him in a one-on-one fight. The Refining Sky Ancient Formation is divided into the sky and the earth. I will deal with the sky array. The earth array will be left to you. The ancestor of the Pill Tower did not have time to argue with old man Hun Mo, who had rapidly changed his stance because of the situation. He immediately stated in a deep voice, "All right, Xiao Chen, little ancient void dragon girl, Gu Nane, you will all attack with me and deal with the sky array." The ancestor of the Hall of Souls turned his head, looked at Xiao Chen's group, and softly cried out. There was little time to consider too much at this moment. The spatial tunnel had been removed by the purifying demonic Lotus flame. If they did not join hands to fight, all of them would be refined into the fire slaves of the purifying demonic Lotus flame. Immediately, the group nodded. Their bodies moved and appeared beside the ancestor of the Pill Tower. Old man Hun Mo was also trying to get some experts from other factions, who had reached the 4th star of the Do Sheng class, to join him while the ancestor of the Pill Tower was gathering helpers. Although these people were not really fond of old man Hun Mo, they could not care about much at this moment. Their lives were at stake. An inconsequential effort. Although I really hate that fellow, do you really think that I would have remained trapped in this place for thousands of years if the formation he had placed could be broken by you weaklings? The purifying demonic Lotus flame coldly laughed after the Pill Tower ancestor and the others gathered together. A murderous intent surged within his eyes. He was too lazy to say anything more. With a change of his hand seal, those large formations, which covered the sky and the earth, rumbled and slowly rotated like discs. The energy of the realm quickly became extremely wild and violent as both large formations slowly rotated. Some of the experts whose strength had reached the Ban Sheng class immediately paled. There were even some who ended up spitting up a mouthful of fresh blood. These large arrays had yet to unleash any attacks, but some were unable to endure any longer. The purifying demonic Lotus Saint really lived up to his reputation. Refining Sky Ancient Formation, refine the sky into slaves. The purifying demonic Lotus flame floated in the sky, as cream-white flames surged out of his body in all directions and then poured into the large arrays. Bang! A cry sounded and the realm violently trembled. A circular cream-white light circle swiftly gathered from the edges of the large arrays. Finally, it gathered into a 1,000-foot large cream-white pillar in front of many shocked eyes. The interior of the light pillar was filled with a destructive energy. Refine. The purifying demonic Lotus flame revealed a dense expression on his face. He suddenly pointed his finger down. Both the sky and the earth arrays violently shook before two cream-white light pillars shot out like fountains. The targets of the light pillars were the ancestor from the Pill Tower and old man Han Mo. Attack together. As this incomparably ferocious attack came closer, even someone as strong as the ancestor from the Pill Tower displayed an extremely grave expression. A low cry sounded as a drop of half-green and half-golden blood shot out from his finger. In the blink of an eye, it grew to a couple of 1,000 feet in size. A shocking energy fluctuation along with a dense pill fragrance spread from it. Xiao Chen and the others by the side also unleashed their powerful Do Qi while adopting grave faces. Their Do Qi followed close behind that blood light cluster as they headed toward the cream-colored light descending from the sky. Old man Hun Mo and the others below also unleashed all of their abilities. They combined their strength and ruthlessly charged toward the light pillar that was rushing up. Bang bang! The collision merely lasted for an instant. An earth-shaking explosion spread across the realm. That magma sea region below had formed a deep pit that was millions of feet in size. The magma inside had been pushed back hundreds of feet. Ha ha! What stubborn resistance! Refine! The eyes of the purifying demonic Lotus flame flickered as he stood in the sky. He appeared to be in a somewhat crazy state. Both of his hands pressed down. The blood-light cluster and old man Hun Mo's group below, which were bitterly blocking the attack, emitted a bang. They were completely destroyed. After the destruction of the obstructions, both light pillars began to fly through the sky with an extremely shocking speed. One chased after the ancestor of the Pill Tower and the other chased after Old Man Hun Mo before they suddenly colliding together in the sky. From the distant sky, the purifying demonic lotus flame watched as a flame swiftly spread by millions of feet, with its center being the point where the light pillars had clashed. He involuntarily laughed to the sky. Now, no one could stop him from escaping. Purifying demonic lotus saint, do you think that you can destroy me like this? I am a divine object and will naturally be protected by the world. Ha ha! The purifying demonic lotus flame was going somewhat crazy. He was finally going to escape after thousands of years of being sealed. How could he not be excited enough to lose himself? Huh? However, this wild laughter did not continue for long before the purifying demonic lotus flame gradually regained his calm. Suddenly, he lowered his head. His eyes were surprised as he scanned the point where the light pillars had crossed. He sensed a lot of auras present at that spot. Still alive? How is this possible? The cream-white flame that lingered over the sky slowly paled. A faint light circle appeared in front of the purifying demonic lotus flame's eyes after the flame disappeared. Xiao Yan was at the middle of this light circle. The ancestor of the Pill Tower, Old Man Hun Mo, and everyone else did not appear to have suffered any serious injuries despite appearing a little miserable. At this moment, not only was the purifying demonic lotus flame stunned, even the ancestor of the Pill Tower and the others were in a daze as they looked at the light circle around them. This light circle might appear weak, but it was able to block an attack that could destroy a 6-star Do Sheng. This is. Everyone exchanged glances with each other. Clearly, none of them understood what had just occurred. Xiao Yan Gege. Xuanur suddenly exclaimed while everyone was feeling lost. All pairs of eyes shifted, only to see that Xiao Yan seemed to have descended into an unconscious state. His body, however, was emitting a faint glow. This glow slowly gathered on the surface of his body. Finally, it turned into a somewhat illusionary human figure. Purifying demonic lotus flame? Everyone was greatly shocked when this human figure appeared because the appearance of this person was identical to the purifying demonic lotus flame in the sky. No, it is not the purifying demonic lotus flame. It is the purifying demonic lotus saint. The ancestor from the Pill Tower stared at the figure outside of Xiao Yan's body with startled eyes. He suddenly seemed to have detected something and cried out in shock. What? Everyone felt something exploded above their scalps after hearing these words. Why would this ultimate expert, who was rumored to have died thousands of years ago, suddenly appear on Xiao Yan? Xiao Yan, whose eyes were tightly shut, suddenly trembled while everyone was feeling shocked. Both of his eyes were slowly opened, but his dark black eyes had turned cream white. His eyes slowly roamed over the people present. Those people his eyes met would involuntarily feel a desire to worship him as a fluttering feeling materialized deep within their soul. Even an expert as strong as Old Man Hun Mo was no exception. The purifying demonic lotus saint was an expert known as the closest to the Do D class back then. Who would have thought that he would appear again in this state? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 589. Chapter 1518. Demon Saint vs. Demon Flame. This is. What happened? Xuanur's group was stunned as they looked at Xiao Yan, or perhaps it would be better to say the illusory figure wrapping around the surface of his body. Why did this legendary purifying demonic lotus saint appear on Xiao Yan's body? It's related to that ancient map. Yao Lao frowned before he suddenly recalled something. That ancient map was the only relationship between Xiao Yan and the purifying demonic lotus saint. Xiao Yan had gathered that thing for many years and had finally obtained all of them, but he had only gained some secret information that was not really a secret. However, Yao Lao had clearly remembered that a light had shot into Xiao Yan's head after the ancient map had been gathered. That light might be the thing causing this situation to occur in Xiao Yan. What should we do? Xuanur asked a little anxiously. No one knew whether this purifying demonic lotus saint was good or bad, but he was possessing Xiao Yan's body at this moment. If something unexpected happened, the one who would suffer the most would undoubtedly be Xiao Yan. Don't panic. Since he has intervened to rescue all of us, he likely does not have any ill intentions. His aim should be the purifying demonic lotus flame. The ancestor from the Pill Tower remarked in a deep voice. This brat. How did he attract the purifying demonic Lotus Saint? This purifying demonic Lotus Saint does not appear to be in a spiritual form. Instead, it is more like a remnant imprint, but just this remnant imprint actually possesses such a mighty strength. The purifying demonic Lotus Saint really lives up to his reputation. Old Man Hun Mo's and everyone's eyes locked on Xiao Yan as this thought continued to appear in their hearts. Xiao Yan, who had been possessed by the purifying demonic Lotus Saint, slowly lifted his head while everyone was dealing with different thoughts. He waved his sleeve and the cream-white circular barrier slowly disappeared. A pair of white eyes looked at the purifying demonic lotus flame in the sky. Purifying demonic Lotus Saint? How is this possible? How can you still be alive? That purifying demonic lotus flame in the sky quickly focused on Xiao Yan the moment the light barrier scattered. His heart formed a great storm when he saw who that figure belonged to on the surface of Xiao Yan's body. A shocked roar filled with disbelief reverberated across the sky. It seems that you have yet to calm the violence within your heart after being sealed for thousands of years. Bastard, purifying demonic Lotus Saint, you ungrateful bastard. Would you have been able to attain your achievements without me? I have aided you so much, but you ended up sealing me in the end. Ha ha! You deserve to be killed by the backlash. The purifying demonic lotus flame looked at Xiao Yan with a ferocious expression as he crazily laughed. It seemed like he wanted to pour all of the monstrous hatred in his heart out. I am responsible for you becoming this brutal. The destructive force of the demonic flame is far too great. If you are allowed to leave as you please, the world would end up facing a great disaster. Xiao Yan slowly shook his head as he replied. HMPH, a mere remnant image dares to act arrogantly in front of me. Do you really think that you are still that all-powerful purifying demonic Lotus Saint? The purifying demonic lotus flame glared at Xiao Yan with all the hatred he felt. The seal formed by his hands suddenly changed, and those two incomparably huge fire rays began to rotate. This array was personally placed by you back then. Today, I will let you have a taste of its might. Refine. The purifying demonic lotus flame furiously cried out after his words sounded. Two light pillars filled with a destructive force formed as one shot from the sky formation and one from the earth formation. After which, they had been aimed at Xiao Yan, and closed in on him with lightning-like speed. Everyone's expressions changed after seeing the purifying demonic lotus flame unleash the might of the formation again. If that light pillar struck them, it was likely that less than 5 would end up surviving. Swoosh! Those two light pillars heading toward the group suddenly came to a halt after this calm voice sounded. The light pillars paused around 50 feet both in above and below everyone. That destructive force radiating from it caused everyone's skin to turn somewhat numb. The refining sky ancient formation was created by me. You are no match for me in terms of understanding it. A faint smile rose on Xiao Yan's face. He looked at the ugly expressions of the purifying demonic lotus flame as he softly spoke. Bastard! The purifying demonic lotus flame involuntarily cursed upon seeing the pillars stop. However, his curse had only just sounded when his expression changed. He had discovered that his control over the formation was gradually disappearing. Rumble! The two huge fire rays trembled at this moment. Finally, layer after layer of cream-white flames suddenly shot out of the formation and entered the body of the purifying demonic lotus flame. After these flames entered his body, the purifying demonic lotus flame began to lose control of the refining sky ancient formation. Purifying demonic lotus saint, I will fight it out with you. The eyes of the purifying demonic lotus flame quickly turned blood red after losing control over the formation. He was aware of the frightening strength this formation possessed. If the purifying demonic lotus saint were to gain control of it, he would end up having difficulty escaping the seal again. He had already lived a couple thousand years in such a bitter fashion and had already become incomparably tired of it. Demonic flame world destruction. The body of the purifying demonic lotus flame rapidly swelled. Finally, it emitted a bang and transformed into a monstrous flame that spread. The energy present within this space was vaporized by the extremely high temperature in an instant. Ah! A Ban Sheng emitted a miserable screech after the strength within the purifying demonic lotus flame's body erupted. The Do Qi within his body began to burn as his meridians became distorted. Bang! Soon after this, Ban Sheng let out a miserable screech, his body erupted into a cluster of black ashes, which drifted into the sea of magma below. Everyone around felt their limbs turn cold because of these ashes. The energy in the realm had been vaporized by the purifying demonic lotus flame. If they continued to remain, they would not be able to replenish the energy within their bodies. They would only end up with one final fate, being incinerated to death. Even Ziyan was not confident that she could rely on her Do Qi to resist the terrifying temperature of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Hence, one needed to quickly leave this damn realm if one wished to live. Kai, hurry up and leave. No one will be able to live if the purifying demonic lotus flame really explodes. Everyone felt a wild joy in their hearts after hearing the indifferent words that came from Xiao Yan. Some did not even give the matter any thought as they immediately moved and rushed to the spatial tunnel. Young miss, we should also hurry up and leave. Jiyu Nane faced Xuan and spoke. This realm was far too dangerous. No one had expected the purifying demonic lotus flame to be this terrifying. But Xiao Yan Gege. Xuan knit her brows. Her eyes locked onto Xiao Yan, but Xiao Yan seemed to have been possessed by the purifying demonic lotus saint. Who could guarantee that the purifying demonic lotus saint would not do anything to Xiao Yan if she simply left? We should leave first. It is pointless to be worried. We will not help Xiao Yan by staying here. That purifying demonic lotus saint has borrowed his body to appear. It is likely that he will not harm Xiao Yan. Yao Lao mused for a moment before clenching his teeth and stating in a deep voice. Xuan gently bit her lower red lip with her teeth after hearing this statement. Her eyes revealed her hesitation. She was really worried to leave Xiao Yan alone in this lifeless realm. Moreover, the ferocious purifying demonic lotus flame present, the cream-white flame in the sky continued to widen while everyone was hesitating. In the end, a pink color gradually began to appear in the middle of the flame. These pink flames slowly gathered before a bright pinkish-red demonic fire lotus appeared in the sky and slowly rotated. Even an expert like Jiyu Nanhai became a flushed red after this bright red fire lotus appeared. The Do Qi within their bodies felt like it was boiling, as though it was about to ignite. Let's go! It was impossible to continue delaying any longer at this moment. Jiyu Nane grabbed Xuan hand. His body flashed as he rushed toward the spatial tunnel. Behind them, Yao Lao once again glanced at Xiao Yan, who was standing with his hands behind him, but he could only clench his teeth and swiftly follow. An unknown feeling rose within Xuan heart when she saw Xiao Yan grow distant in her eyes. She felt that Xiao Yan needed her. Elder, once you return, please tell father that Xuan will be willful this one time. Xuan bit her lower lip. Her hand suddenly shook as she escaped Jiyu Nane's grasp. Her palm pressed against the Jiyu Nane's back as a gentle force sent him into the spatial tunnel. This unexpected change had clearly exceeded Jiyu Nane's expectations. Hence, he didn't have time to react. He simply entered the spatial tunnel and disappeared. Take good care of Xiao Yan. We will wait for the both of you to come out. Yao Lao, who was behind, widened his mouth upon seeing Xuan remain. He could only bitterly smile and let out a quiet sigh. His body moved and entered the spatial tunnel. He was quite confident in Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan had experienced all sorts of difficulties during these years. This time around, he would definitely successfully escape. The spatial tunnel finally disappeared after Yao Lao rushed into it. Xuan turned around. Her pretty eyes were grave as she looked at the figure standing with his hands behind his back. Golden flames slowly swept out of her body. Xiao Yan Gege. This time around, Xuan will accompany you. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 590. Chapter 1519, Stripping. Every part of this vast realm had filled with cream-white demonic flames. An indescribably high temperature filled this magma world. Even an elite Do Sheng, who had reached the 4th star or even 5th star, would not be able to remain for long because the temperature present could even incinerate Do Qi. Xuan floated in the sky as a golden flame continued to surge from her body. Even though she, the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame, was guarding her, she was still drenched in perspiration. Fortunately, the Do Qi within her body did not show signs of combusting. There was a reason the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame had obtained such a high rank. Shuin-Er's eyes roamed the distant sky before finding the origin point of this sea of flames. A fire lotus with a demonic aura was slowly rotating at that spot. Each time it rotated, its color would flicker between dark red and white. Buzz! The rotating fire lotus finally returned to a white, but its petals were covered with tiny red veins. At a glance, they appeared just like the blood vessels of a person. Occasionally, a red light flashed, causing this beautiful fire lotus to be filled with a demonic aura. When I first met you back then, your body was as pure as a baby. I brought you intelligence, allowing you to possess the thoughts of a human. However, the path you have taken is opposite from what I had intended. That illusory figure outside of Xiaoyan's body softly sighed as he studied the fire lotus, which was filled with a demonic aura. Purifying demonic lotus saint, it is up to me how I wish to grow. You are meddling too much. Light was emitted from the demonic lotus body as the purifying demonic lotus flame furiously roared. I only wish that you will avoid self-destructing. I am the one who has caused you to fill with this hatred, so allow me to finally end everything. The illusory figure observed the fire lotus as his hand seal changed. The two large arrays that covered this realm suddenly rushed forward, one up and one down. Soon after they moved, a huge fire curtain shot out and swiftly formed a square prison, which sealed the demonic lotus inside. I will remove the intelligence and memories that I have bestowed upon you. In the future, you will be as pure as when I had discovered you back then. Purifying demonic lotus saint, you heartless bastard. I will not allow you to do as you please. A furious roar was once again emitted from the demonic lotus before it began rotating at a rapid speed. Waves of unusually terrifying blood-colored flames shot out of the demonic lotus. The fire curtain formed by the array suddenly became distorted because of these strange blood-colored flames. I had thought of removing your memories when I had reached my limits back then, but I was unable to remove them. This was why I sealed you here. I was hoping to resolve your brutalness and murderous nature. Looking at it now, the thousands of years of being sealed has caused your hatred to become even more intense. Since this is the case, the purifying demonic lotus saint looked at the wildly struggling purifying demonic lotus flame and softly sighed. His hand seal changed and the massive formation suddenly began to collapse from its outer edges. Following the collapse of the outer parts of the formation, the fire pillar that had locked onto the purifying demonic lotus flame became more solid. Bang bang bang! The purifying demonic lotus flame wildly attacked the fire curtain as the formation rotated. That earth-shaking sounds of the collision caused the golden flame on the surface of Shuin-Er's body to become a little dimmer. Refining sky ancient formation, remove. The purifying demonic lotus saint's illusory hand was gently waved, and one could see the fire curtain shot out many flame lines. These lines formed a fire web that was imprinted on the demonic lotus. After which, the fire web was slowly lifted as wisps of a blood-colored fog were pushed out of the body of the demonic lotus. Ah! A miserable screech was quickly emitted from the demonic lotus after this blood-colored fog appeared. The demonic lotus wildly rotated, but no matter what kind of powerful energy it unleashed, it was unable to break the fire curtain created from that formation. The energy that the refining sky ancient formation has absorbed for thousands of years has been completely unleashed this time around. You will not be able to block it. Little demon, leave with me. The purifying demonic lotus saint controlled the fire lines and forced out the blood-colored fog, which represented the memories and intelligence of the purifying demonic lotus flame, a little at a time. A soft sound was emitted during the process. Nonsense, without memories and intelligence, the purifying demonic flame will no longer have its own consciousness in the future. What is the difference between this and killing me? You said that you would not take my life, but taking my memories and intelligence means that you intend to kill me. You hypocrite. The purifying demonic lotus flame's heart started to panic as he sensed his mind gradually become blank. He roared out loud. Once his memories and intelligence were completely removed, he would be considered dead. You are incomparably violent and have also obtained my inheritance. If you are allowed to break the seal, a great disaster will befall the world. This disaster was started by me. Naturally, it will have to be averted by me. The purifying demonic lotus saint's illusory figure shook his head. He ceased saying anything more. His hand seal changed and the many lines of fire within the fire curtain suddenly surrounded the demonic lotus. Ah! Wave after wave of a dense blood fog swiftly surged out of the demonic lotus. The blood fog swiftly formed a blood figure in the air above the demonic lotus. This blood figure was the same human figure that the purifying demonic lotus flame had appeared as before. The blood figure of the purifying demonic lotus flame tried to lower itself in an attempt to enter the demonic lotus after being forced out of its body. However, the purifying demonic lotus saint did not give it such an opportunity. He clenched his hand and the fire curtain rapidly shrank. The 4 lines transformed into a 10-foot large fire prison. Master, please let me go this time around. I will definitely change in the future. The purifying demonic lotus flame struggled, but the demonic lotus was not able to break out of the fire prison. He began to feel afraid. Having left his body, his strength had diminished to less than 10% of what it had been. It was unable to fight the purifying demonic lotus saint now, so he knelt down and begged for mercy from the purifying demonic lotus saint. The illusory figure formed by the purifying demonic lotus saint sighed when the purifying demonic lotus flame started to beg for mercy. He waved his sleeves and the illusory figure left Xiao Yan's body. The figure drifted into the fire prison and landed in front of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Xiao Yan Gege. Xuan hurriedly flew over and grabbed Xiao Yan after the purifying demonic lotus saint had left Xiao Yan's body. Why have you not left? Xiao Yan was not unconscious. His soul had been suppressed by the purifying demonic lotus saint. He involuntarily but softly chided Xuan after escaping. He had watched this girl send Jiyu Nane flying and remain behind. Xuan rejoiced in her heart after she made sure that Xiao Yan was fine. She wasn't worried about Xiao Yan's chiding. Her hand tightly grabbed his arm before her eyes landed on the fire curtain. Xiao Yan felt helpless once she grabbed him, but his large hand wrapped around Xuan delicate and smooth hand. Little demon, I do not hate you. Even though you retaliated against me back then, I still do not hate you. I have never had any disciples or any children in my life. Since the beginning, you have been the one closest to me. The purifying demonic lotus saint's hand gently rubbed the purifying demonic lotus flame's head. His somewhat illusory face revealed a warm smile. However, I hate you. The purifying demonic lotus flame suddenly lifted his head. His blood-red eyes glared at the purifying demonic lotus saint. A bloody fog suddenly erupted and wrapped around the purifying demonic lotus saint. The bloody fog crazily eroded the purifying demonic lotus saint's body. Xiao Yan and Xuan revealed startled faces as they watched this occur from outside the prison. This purifying demonic lotus flame was far too violent. This appearance is just like back then. A faint tragic appearance overcame the purifying demonic lotus saint's face as he felt the erosion of the purifying demonic lotus flame. He softly sighed as he slowly reached out with his hand. Together, we will disappear from this world forever. The enormous fire rays suddenly collapsed after the purifying lotus demon saint emitted this statement. Finally, they turned into 2 extremely bright lights that shot out and ruthlessly struck the fire curtain. Bang! Xiao Yan grabbed Xuan delicate waist and extended his wings behind him upon sensing the explosion that could destroy the world. After which, he hurriedly pulled back. The storm swept over the realm. 100,000-foot large crack appeared in the sea of magma. Such an enormous crack was something that the magma present could not fill. The sky was completely empty. Only after the wild and violent energy storm disappeared did Xiao Yan and Xuan finally appear. They exchanged glances with each other before they quickly rushed to the center of the explosion. Light flickered in the sky as Xiao Yan and Xuan paused their bodies. They searched the empty area. The purifying demonic lotus saint and the purifying demonic lotus flame had completely disappeared. It was as though they had vanished amid that earth-shaking collision earlier. Where is the demonic flame essence? Xiao Yan muttered as he looked at the empty sky. Could the purifying demonic lotus flame have been destroyed in that explosion? If that was the case, would it not mean that this fight for the purifying demonic lotus flame was a waste? Damn it! Xiao Yan cursed with dissatisfaction. He had collected the ancient maps for over a decade because of this purifying demonic lotus flame. After which, he had waited for 3 years. Was really possible that he had ended with this result? Xiao Yan Gege, look! While Xiao Yan was filled with dissatisfaction in his heart, Shuan suddenly pointed her finger at the magma sea region below and joyously cried out. Xiao Yan's eyes scanned the direction she had pointed in. His heart seemed to have been pinched. There was a white lotus covered with pink veins as an endless sea of magma slowly swimming around. It seemed as the energy of the entire magma sea was surging toward it. Demon Flame Essence. Xiao Yan's body involuntarily shook from excitement as he stared at the cream-white lotus with its faint pink color. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 591, Chapter 1520, Final Reward. Purifying Demonic Lotus Flame. Xiao Yan only suppressed the excitement in his heart while he stood in the sky. He exchanged glances with Shuan. Only then did he carefully descend. He slowly came to a halt when he was around a couple dozen feet from the cream white and pink fire lotus. The current purifying demonic lotus flame was completely different than the one from earlier. The purifying demonic lotus flame was extremely violent while this one was peaceful and calm. It did not unleash an attack when Xiao Yan and Shuan approached. The purifying demonic lotus flame seems to be a little different than earlier. Shuan finally stated in a somewhat surprised voice after watching the fire lotus quietly float around. The purifying demonic lotus saint has removed all of its old memories and intelligence. The current purifying demonic lotus flame is just like a baby who has just been born. Xiao Yan's face was filled with a heated expression. After having witnessed the brutal character of the purifying demonic lotus flame, he would not dare to refine it even after obtaining it. After all, even an ultimate expert as strong as the purifying demonic lotus saint had ended up dying because of the retaliation of the demonic flame. Even less needed to be said about a mere 2-star Do Sheng like him. However, such worry had completely vanished now. The purifying demonic lotus saint's remnant image and the purifying demonic lotus flame had vanished from the world. Only the pure baby-like demonic flame essence remained behind, and it no longer possessed any violence like it did earlier. Would doing this not end up damaging the spirituality of the purifying demonic lotus flame? Shuan frowned and asked. The reason natural heavenly flames were unique was because they possessed a spirituality that an ordinary flame did not possess. If this spirituality had vanished, the heavenly flame would not longer possess that dazzling allure. Given the purifying demonic lotus saint's skill, do you think that he would do something so foolish? This purifying demonic lotus flame is still filled with spirituality. However, some of the things that did not originally belong to it were snatched away by the purifying demonic lotus saint. Xiao Yan shook his head and said, "Currently, it appears as pure as it did when it had just appeared in this world. It has not been influenced or contaminated by people. Looks like this purifying demonic lotus saint has been a great help to us." Shuan covered her mouth and softly laughed. This operation of theirs was about to end in failure, but the purifying demonic lotus saint had appeared halfway through and forcefully stripped the various negative emotions away from the purifying demonic lotus flame. This allowed them to taste some hope. What should we do now? The spatial tunnel has already vanished. I gave it a try earlier, and I'm afraid that given our current strength, we are unable to tear open the space here. Shuan hesitated before she once again spoke. Although both of them were elite 2-star Do Shengs, this realm had been created by the purifying demonic lotus saint. There were still some seals existing in this realm, so it was not easy to tear through this space. Xiao Yan fondled his chin. His eyes returned to the fire lotus on the surface of the magma and laughed. Since we are temporarily unable to leave, I should refine the purifying demonic lotus flame here. Are you confident? Shuan knit her brows. Although the purifying demonic lotus flame had ceased randomly attacking, it was a terrifying existence ranked 3rd on the heavenly flame ranking regardless of how one put it. It would not be easy to refine. Less than 50%. Xiao Yan faintly smiled but did not hide anything. After having witnessed the might of the purifying demonic lotus flame, a fear had formed for this demonic flame. Moreover, there was definitely less than 5 people around the entire world who were absolutely sure that they could refine the purifying demonic lotus flame. Hence, how could he pat his chest and guarantee that he could? A worry flashed through Shuan eyes after hearing his low chances. There is no choice. If we bring the demonic flame essence out, countless of people will be tempted by it. At that time, even if I follow you to the GU clan to hide, it will still bring trouble to the Sky Mansion Alliance. This demonic flame realm was personally created by the purifying demonic Lotus flame. I think that even your father will not be able to barge in so easily. Otherwise, I'm afraid that he would have already intervened and snatched away the demonic flame. Hence, we are safe in this realm. I will only be able to refine the purifying demonic Lotus flame without being distracted here. Xiao Yan smiled and said, "Other people might think that we have met with mishap if we remain here without leaving for a long time, but this will save a ton of trouble. Ziyan and I have a dragon seal as a connection, so there isn't too much to worry about on teacher's side." Xuan'er mused for a moment after hearing Xiao Yan's words. She could only nod her head in the end. What Xiao Yan had said was reasonable. Currently, there were many people within the Central Plains who had cast their eyes to the demonic flame realm. If other people discovered them taking the demonic flame essence out, even the might of the GU clan would not be able to suppress the greed in those people's hearts, which means they would attack without care. At that time, they would end up in an endless amount of trouble even if they could deal with them. Moreover, there was the Han clan watching with ill intent by the side. There would be no time to quietly refine the demonic flame. In that case, when do you plan to act? Xuan'er's eyes softly rolled as she asked what he was planning to do. Ha ha! There is no hurry to refine it now. We still have some time. Refining the purifying demonic Lotus flame is not a simple matter. I must prepare some things. Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. His eyes became heated when he looked at the demonic flame Lotus floating on the magma. He had thought that refining the purifying demonic Lotus flame would not be difficult after reaching the Do Sheng class, but the battle from earlier had allowed him to understand that if he did not prepare some things, the one who would end up being refined would be called into question. The spatial distortion had completely vanished outside of the demonic flame realm. The terrifyingly high temperature that originally covered the land had gradually weakened. The magma desert below had ceased churning before it gradually solidified into many white rocks. Many figures were suspended in the surrounding sky. Their eyes were filled with an unwillingness as they stared back at the spatial tunnel. After the spatial tunnel scattered, they lost contact with that magma realm. Regardless of what kind of technique they unleashed, they could not make the realm to reappear. Why is it that Xiao Yan and Xuan'er are still not out? Ancestor Huo Yun stared at the sky with a grave expression. There had not been the slightest activity ever since they had escaped. Young Miss, Gu Nane anxiously stared at the sky. Cold sweat covered his forehead. Xuan'er's position in the Gu clan was extraordinary, but he had lost her. There was no telling how he would be reprimanded after returning to the Gu clan. Elder, there is no need to blame yourself. Xuan'er insisted on accompanying Xiao Yan. It is pointless even if you managed to react in time back then. Gu Qingyang softly sighed. He also had not expected Xuan'er to take such a big risk and remain in that magma realm with Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan is extremely blessed. Nothing will happen to Xuan'er either. What if something did? Gu Nane grit his teeth and asked. Even an expert like him could not remain in the demonic flame realm for long. Even less needed to be said about Xiao Yan and Xuan'er. Let's wait. Yao Lao by the side sighed. It was pointless to say anything at this moment. The demonic flame realm had shut, and they were unable to enter it again. Hence, the only thing they could do was wait. The remaining individuals quietly nodded after hearing Yao Lao's words. The Gu clan seems to have suffered a great loss this time around. That Xuan'er has an extraordinary talent. If she was given enough time, she probably would have become extremely terrifying. Although we did not manage to obtain the purifying demonic Lotus flame, we have finished off 2 potential threats. The deputy hall chief a short distance away glanced at the Yao Lao's worried group while laughing in a strange low voice. Xiao Yan has the remnant image of the purifying demonic Lotus saint on him. There is no telling if an accident will occur. The chief of the Hall of Souls merely frowned as he replied. Xiao Yan is full of tricks. He does not appear to be someone with a short life. Han Feng slowly commented, "We will wait a few days here. I want to see just what kind of tricks 2 juniors can pull." Old man Han Mo's eyes flickered slightly as he spoke in a low and deep voice. The 3 remaining individuals nodded after hearing him speak. They did not add anything more. Most of the people did not leave once the demonic flame realm closed. Instead, they chose to remain in the sky outside. Most people were unwilling to make a wasted trip, so they wanted to wait and see if any unexpected changes occurred. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye as everyone waited. Not the slightest activity happened in this place during these 7 days, not even the slightest heat was emitted. This caused many people to feel disappointed. Some people remained unsatisfied and left amid this disappointment. It has been 7 days. Ji Qing bitterly laughed. He looked at Ji Nane in front of him, whose face seemed to have aged. He hesitated for a moment before asking, "Elder, what is it?" "I don't know." Ji Nane shook his head. His voice was a little hoarse. Yao Lao's expression by the side revealed his fatigue. He was just about to speak when the space in front of him fluctuated. Ziyan's figure appeared in a flash, but she shook her head after appearing and said, "I am unable to find the demonic flame realm. There is a seal placed on this realm and I am unable to detect its location." The expressions of Yao Lao's group appeared dark upon hearing this information. However, Xiao Yan should be fine. The dragon seal will disappear if something happens to him. Ziyan extended her hand. There was a pale golden dragon seal on her palm. She turned her head to Ji Nane and smiled as she said, "Elder Ji also need not be worried. Xiao Yan and older sister Xuan are together. Given his character, he will definitely not allow anything to happen to her. He would also go crazy if anything happens to her, and if that happened, the dragon seal would not be this calm." Some life finally appeared on Ji Nane's face after he heard her words. He lifted his head and glanced at Yao Lao before sighing, "Regardless of what the case is, this matter has already happened. I will need to return to the Ji clan to report on this matter. You can rest assured that I will dispatch people to constantly monitor this place. I will inform the Ji clan of any activity." Yao Lao replied in a deep voice. "In that case, I will thank you." Ji Nane forcefully braced his attention. He cupped his hands to Yao Lao before staring deeply at distant space. Only then did he turn around and fly to the northern sky. Ji Qing hurriedly followed behind him. Yao Lao's group exchanged glances with each other seeing those two leave. They quietly sighed. While everyone was gradually scattering outside of the demonic flame realm, Xiao Yan, who had prepared for 7 days inside the realm, slowly opened his eyes. He was finally going to start refining the purifying demonic lotus flame. He had waited over a decade for this day. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.